Incredible chess match revealed, CEO's joke turns to touching moment as Maid's hidden genius shines. The sun dipped low in the suburban sky, casting a golden glow over the freshly manicured lawns. Maria, the neighborhood cleaning lady, stood at her kitchen window, dissecting the nearing sounds of laughter and music from next door. Tyler, the new CEO in town, was hosting another extravagant party, radiating wealth and charm. She could hear the clinking of glasses, the wild bursts of laughter that twisted in her heart like a knot. For years, she'd dreamt of a different life for Danny, her 14-year-old son who only wished for acceptance. But wealth felt like a distant castle, guarded by towering walls they could never scale. With a sigh, Maria turned back to wash the dishes. She always reminded Danny that hard work and kindness mattered more than flashy possessions. It was a mantra she repeated often, even as the weight of their struggles bore down on them like a heavy cloak. Danny, sweet and sensitive, wrestled with his self-esteem, especially after harsh words from classmates who observed their financial hardships. That evening, as the street buzzed with excitement over Tyler's charity event, Maria found herself glancing at Danny with a mix of hope and worry. "We'll go, okay?" she said softly, seeing the uncertainty in his eyes. He nodded hesitantly, almost as though attending such a grand affair was stepping out of their comfort zones. Little did they know, that night would be the stage for an astonishing turn of fate. "Who dares to challenge me to a chess match?" Tyler chuckled, his voice booming over the music. "Bet you all can't handle a game of strategy." The crowd erupted into laughter, but it twisted in Maria's gut. She felt their judgment, the whispers that followed them like shadows. Just then, Danny's eyes lit up. He stepped forward, emboldened by his mother's quiet strength. "My mom is a chess player," he blurted out, surprising everyone, even Maria. Heart racing, Maria stood frozen. The eyes of the neighborhood were on her, judging and curious. Danny's hopeful face pushed her forward, and she found herself challenging Tyler. The gasps from the crowd echoed in the silence that followed, and suddenly, everything felt electric. The game didn't just hold stakes for her, it was a chance to show that she was more than a cleaning lady. As the pieces clacked against the board, tension gripped the air. Maria moved expertly, strategy bubbling up like she hadn't felt in years. She recalled laughter-filled evenings spent teaching Danny the rules, the love splashed across every move. Each piece she advanced felt like an act of defiance, a shout against the stereotypes that defined not just her, but their whole lives. Just when hope surged, a figure emerged from the shadows, the silhouette of her estranged father. Anger and hurt twisted together in Maria's gut. Would he finally see the woman she had become? With every move, the game mirrored their own unhealed wounds. But as Maria denied defeat and formulated her brilliant final strategy, everything danced precariously on the edge. Before the last piece was played, she realized that victory wasn't just about the game, it was about reclaiming her self-worth and Danny's, which had been buried under years of judgment and silence. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, and in that moment of gripping tension, as the game hung in the balance, the stakes grew higher than the chessboard. Would Maria reform the broken piece of her family, anchored by the love for her son? The crowd held its breath, waiting for a conclusion that could redefine everything. The silence thickened like a curtain, heavy with anticipation. Maria glanced at the pieces laid before her, each one a part of something larger, a representation of her past and hopes. Tyler's confident smirk faltered as he awaited her move. The small crowd, a cacophony of whispers, held their breath, unaware of the storm brewing inside her. Danny watched from the sidelines, his eyes wide, filled with admiration and perhaps a hint of disbelief. Maria could feel his energy propelling her forward. In that moment, she held not just her own hopes but her son's. She could recall the gritty determination she had instilled in him, a mirror of the very resolve she clung to now. With a firm breath, Maria leaned forward. She maneuvered her knight strategically, her mind racing through past lessons and memories shared over countless games. The light in her son's eyes flickered brighter, and it fueled her. For Maria, this wasn't merely about winning a game, it was about proving to herself and to Danny that they were more than their circumstances. A simple cleaning lady and her son battling through the odds, Tyler chuckled, playing the role of the confident executive, but there was an edge in his voice that signaled he sensed the challenge. "Oh, I see what you're doing," he said, his laughter a touch forced now. "Trying to outsmart me on my own board?" Maria didn't respond verbally, but she felt a rush of strength. The slightest shift in the crowd's energy heralded her unyielding spirit. She was painting a new narrative, one where hard work and talent outshone social status and wealth. With each strategic move, her mind sharpened like a finely honed blade. The sound of the pieces sliding across the board became a symphony of empowerment. The audience edged closer, lured by the tension unfolding. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was a declaration of identity. As the game reached its climax, Maria realized that the looming shadow of her father, once a painful reminder of her failures, had transformed into a mere specter. She was no longer the scared girl who had once felt overshadowed by his expectations. This moment belonged to her. Finally, the decisive moment arrived. With a flick of her wrist, she moved her queen, a simple yet decisive gesture that left Tyler's king exposed. Gasps erupted from the crowd, their disbelief morphing into admiration. "Checkmate," she declared, her voice ringing clear over the murmurs. For a moment, time stood still. She met Tyler's eyes, a mix of respect and confusion flickered across his face. This was not just a display of skill, it was a testament to resilience. Danny erupted into applause, his sweet laughter intermingling with the crowd's awe. For the first time, Maria saw acceptance reflected back at her, a community that was beginning to see her for who she truly was. She stood taller, breathing in the warmth of understanding that swept through her like a tidal wave, but just as the crowd began to cheer, her eyes caught her father still lingering at the edge, an expression she couldn't quite decipher. Would he finally choose to engage, to bridge the years of silence and regret? In that moment, everything blurred around her. Maria realized that this victory was just the beginning, a stepping stone to untangle the deeper threads of her life and family. She felt the stirring of hope, coupled with a fear of the daunting road ahead. As the applause faded, she stepped off the chessboard and into the potential that lay before her. What awaited her was uncertain, but she was ready to reclaim her voice and her family. Yet, as her gaze remained fixed on her father, a new question loomed. Could a simple game of chess unlock the healing they had long avoided, or would it merely expose the fractures that still needed mending? Maria took a step back from the chessboard, the applause still echoing in her ears. It felt surreal, like moving in slow motion. She had won, but her heart was not in the thrill of victory. Instead, it pounded in her chest, drawn to the man standing just outside the crowd's excitement. Her father, once a looming figure of disappointment and expectations, held a different kind of weight now. Was he proud? Angry? Or was it something deeper, a longing for connection that both of them were too afraid to voice? The crowd began to disperse, shocked murmurs marking Maria's victory as they turned their attention to each other, sharing stories and opinions about the game. But Maria didn't move. She felt trapped in time, caught between this moment and the past. "Mom, you were amazing!" Danny exclaimed, bouncing closer to her, his youthful spirit unmarred by adult complexities. The joy on his face was infectious, and Maria couldn't help but smile. It was as if a part of her believed that whatever happened next, they would face it together. "Thanks, sweetheart," she said, her voice soft. But her gaze drifted back to her father, who now seemed unsteady on his feet. The emotions he held were palpable, almost spilling out like a dam ready to break. The swirling chaotic feelings inside her caught in her throat. "I'm so proud of you," Danny continued, oblivious to the more profound drama unfolding right before him. You showed him. You really showed everyone. He clapped again, encouraging more praise from the remaining crowd. With a shuddering breath, Maria took a step toward her father. Dad? The single word felt heavy, laden with years of unspoken anger, love, and pain. As he met her gaze, the world seemed to constrict around them, dissolving the noise from the crowd until only they remained. Maria, his voice cracked, and she could see the vulnerability beneath the tough exterior he wore like armor. I didn't expect. He hesitated, searching for the right words. She swallowed hard. You didn't expect what? That I could win. That I'd be someone. The hurt slipped through her, sharp and honest, a flood of emotion she had been holding back for too long. He shifted his weight, avoiding her gaze. No, it's just. I never really. His words fell away into silence, replaced by 1,000 unspoken phrases that hung in the air between them. In that vulnerable moment, Maria could sense that something was about to break between them, either a wall or a dam. Suddenly, a figure from the crowd stepped forward, a woman with a camera. Can I get a photo of the match winner? She called, breaking the moment. Maria turned back, and the flash briefly blinded her, pulling her away from her father, whose expression now seemed tinged with regret. The spectators still hanging around erupted into cheers, and for a brief instant, Maria felt the weight of their admiration. But all she could focus on was the fleeting connection she had almost made with her father. Danny tugged at her hand. Can we go home now? I want to tell everyone at school. Maria nodded, her heart still thrumming, unsure of what had just happened. As they walked away, she cast one last glance over her shoulder. Dad, I hope you're there next time, she whispered to the empty space, yet uncertainty loomed large. Would her heart find the courage to truly bridge the gaps, or would the silence linger? As they moved through the crowd, her mind filled with unanswered questions, Maria knew that the next meeting with her father would not only define her future but could mean the difference between healing and deeper wounds. Would the next step forward tear them apart or bring them together? She tightened her grip on Danny's hand, determined to face whatever lay ahead, knowing the stakes were higher than they had ever been. Maria could still feel the buzz of the crowd, the cheers ringing in her ears as they made their way through the sea of faces. Danny's enthusiasm flowed like a river beside her, a stream of joy and innocence pulling her along. Yet, beneath the surface, a storm stirred, swirling questions and fears that begged for answers. Mom, can we stop for ice cream before we go home? Danny asked, his eyes lighting up. It was a simple request, innocent and pure, but her heart clenched at the idea. Ice cream implied celebration, and today felt anything but celebratory. The weight of her father's presence lingered like a shadow, darkening what should have been a bright moment. Sure, buddy. Ice cream sounds great, she replied, forcing a smile. She followed Danny's energetic footsteps, but her mind was elsewhere. The echo of her father's voice haunted her. What had he really meant? Could this moment of victory lead to a different kind of battle, a fight for understanding that might bring them closer or push them further apart? At the ice cream shop, Danny gleefully bounced from flavor to flavor, jabbering about his favorites. She watched him, trying to mirror his joy. But every laugh and giggle felt like a reminder of the chasm with her father. Her own scoop of chocolate mint turned into a cold block in her hand, a stark contrast to the warmth spreading in Danny's innocent heart. They found a table by the window, and for a moment, Maria allowed herself to be pulled into Danny's world. He licked at his cone, his eyes widening with delight at each mouthful. This is the best ice cream ever, Mom. He exclaimed, his laughter brightening the dim corners of her mind. Glad you like it, kiddo. She responded, trying to mirror his excitement. But as he launched into a new tale, his mouth full of ice cream and wild gestures, Maria's gaze drifted outside. She spotted a group of kids racing down the sidewalk, their laughter a symphony of youth. It tugged at something deep inside her, a longing for carefree connections, the ease of childhood friendship she had lost long ago. Are you okay, Mom? Danny's voice cut through her thoughts. He leaned in, his expression tinged with concern. Yeah. Just she hesitated, searching for the right words. Just thinking. About chess. Your next match. Something like that, Maria said, but her mind was still fixed on her father and the weight of unspoken words hanging between them. As they finished their ice cream, a stranger approached their table. Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear. I just wanted to say I saw your match earlier. You played brilliantly. The woman's voice was warm, genuine. Thank you, Maria replied, feeling a blush creep up her neck. It was a tough game. Not tough for you, the woman smiled. It's great to see someone break the mold. Maria felt a flicker of pride. That means a lot, she said, remembering the crowd's cheers. But the warmth of the compliment faded, replaced by the gnawing sense of what lay unaddressed with her father. As they left the ice cream shop, Maria took Danny's hand. Let us go home, she said, her voice firm. Can we play chess when we get there? He asked, brightening. Absolutely, she replied, a sudden idea pushing through her like a burst of light. The drive home was filled with Danny's chatter about strategy and moves, but as Maria turned into the driveway, her pulse quickened. She had faced a crowd, she could face her father. Would returning to him echo their past, or could it be the beginning of something new? Mom, do you think Grandpa will come to my next game? Danny's question hung in the air like a fragile thread, drawing her thoughts back to the man she had tried to reach earlier. Maria took a deep breath, her resolve forming with each passing second. I hope so. As they stepped inside the house, determination surged within her. The next time she encountered her father, she would seek the truth. Time to rip off the band-aid, to dive deep into what had been unsaid. She turned to Danny and smiled a little wider, the plan already bubbling to the surface. Let us practice for that game. But there was another question on her mind. What would she say when faced with her father again? Would the words come easy, or would they tangle like they always had? Holding tight to her hope, she knew there was only one way to find out. The sun dipped low on the horizon as Maria set up the chessboard on the dining table, the pieces gleaming in the fading light. Danny's eyes sparkled as he watched her arrange the pawns, knights, and rooks, his excitement a balm for the storm brewing inside her. Can I be white? He asked, bouncing in his chair. Sure, Maria replied, her hands trembling slightly as she pushed the black pieces aside. You go first. Danny grinned broadly and made his move. I'll take your knight. Checkmate, here I come. His childish enthusiasm filled the room, a stark contrast to the tension in Maria's heart. She mirrored his glee, but each piece moved felt like a step toward the confrontation she dreaded. Their game unfolded, each decision bringing laughter and occasional playful banter. But even as they played, Maria's mind waded through memory's frustrating arguments, distant silences, and her father's disappointed gaze. A particularly clever maneuver from Danny caught her off guard, and she couldn't help but chuckle. You're getting really good, my little chess master. Thanks, Mom. I'm gonna beat you one day, just wait. His declaration was bold, infectious, and swirled warmth in her chest. As the game continued, her thoughts always strayed back to her father. Danny reached across the board to capture her queen, and just like that, her resolve sharpened. No more avoiding the truth. She had to stand up for herself, for Danny, as much as for the man who had shaped her. Hey, buddy, she said, pausing the game. What do you think makes a good player? Danny pondered for a moment. Being smart. And not giving up. Right. Maria nodded, feeling the tension within her. And do you think it matters if we win or lose? He looked serious now, his brow furrowed. Well, if you lose, you can learn, right? A tight smile broke through her mask. Exactly. You can learn even from your mistakes. The words wrapped around her heart and squeezed, with renewed determination. Maria took a deep breath. I need to talk to Grandpa. Tomorrow. Danny's expression shifted, confusion shadowing his features. But, Mom, what if he gets mad? Maybe he will. But we can't keep pretending everything is okay when it's not. Her voice was steady, fueled by her love for her son. I need him to understand, and maybe even to understand me a little better. Okay. But don't forget to wear your lucky shirt. Danny said, his face lighting up once more. Maria chuckled, her heart swelling with affection. I won tea. I promise. As the game reached its thrilling climax, tension masked by laughter, she felt a flicker of hope. Once the pieces were neatly arranged back in their box, a weight settled over her. It became clear that this confrontation with her father was about more than chess. It was about reclaiming pieces of her life that had long been scattered, lost in years of hurt. Later that evening, after Danny drifted to sleep, Maria sat alone at the table, a cup of tea in hand. Silence filled the house like a heavy fog, and her thoughts began to swirl. What if this conversation led to healing? What if it broke everything open? She picked up her phone, hesitated, then set it back down. Tomorrow would be a defining moment. She needed to be ready, but no amount of preparation could quell the fear crawling up her spine. Then, her phone buzzed. A reminder of her chess match next week popped onto the screen, sending a wave of determination through her. Just like chess, she whispered to herself, the game isn't always about winning. And as Maria laid her head on the table, exhaustion pulling her down, one truth echoed in her mind: sometimes, you have to clash against your biggest opponent, even if it's your own past. What would her father think when she brought it all to light? Would he fight back, or would a bridge be built instead? Anxiety thrummed in her chest as she realized. They were all just pieces waiting to be placed back together again. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow over Maria as she put the finishing touches on breakfast. The smell of scrambled eggs and toast filled the air, mingling with the lingering whispers of her nervous thoughts. Today was the day. It felt monumental, and yet anxiety kept bubbling within her like boiling water. Danny wandered into the kitchen, tousled hair and sleepy eyes. Good morning, Mom. He said, rubbing his eyes. Good morning, sweetheart. She replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. They settled into their usual routine, the easy rhythm of making breakfast and chatting about school and friends. But as they ate, Maria found it hard to focus on Danny's stories. Her heart raced as she thought about what lay ahead, the tension like a rubber band stretched taut. Mom, do you think I can win the school chess tournament? Danny's voice broke through her thoughts, bringing her back to the present. He looked up at her, hopeful eyes searching hers. Of course you can, she said, her voice firmer than she felt. You're a great player, remember? Don't forget what you told me about learning from mistakes. Yeah. I can do it. He exclaimed, confidence bubbling in his youthful spirit. Yet Maria felt a mix of admiration and longing. She wished she could feel that same kind of fearless determination. After breakfast, Maria helped Danny put on his favorite shirt, a bright blue one that matched his eyes. She felt a connection form, the simplicity of the moment encompassing the love they shared. Her heart softened as she watched him bounce around, oblivious to the bravery she needed to muster for later. Let's do a quick practice game before you head out, she suggested, surprising even herself with the idea. She realized that this could be a moment to prepare for her own confrontation later, a way to gather strength. As they set the board, the pieces glimmered in the morning light, a friendly reminder of the game's deeper meanings. They played swiftly, engaging in an energetic back and forth that erupted in giggles and cheers. Maria felt the weight of her worries slowly lifting as she watched Danny strategize with the precision of a young champion. Check. Checkmate. Danny shouted, throwing his hands in the air, beaming with pride. Maria clapped her hands, her smile genuine now. Good job. You're the real master. She encouraged, pulling him into a hug. In that embrace, she felt the warmth of his joy and innocence wrap around her like a safe blanket. shielding her from the approaching storm. As Danny dashed toward the front door with his backpack slung over his shoulder, Maria lingered in the kitchen for a moment longer. Alone again, her heart began to thump heavily in her chest. "Okay, Maria. You've got this," she muttered to herself. Moments later, she found herself in front of her father's house, the familiar brick facade looming over her. A hesitation gripped her, roots of fear anchoring her in place. She took slow, steady breaths. Memories flooded back with every moment she lingered outside. With a determined nod, she stepped up to the door and rang the bell. The sound echoed, each chime resonating deep within her. She didn't know what to expect on the other side, but she could feel the pieces of her life shifting again, moving towards something unfamiliar yet desperately needed. As the door creaked open and her father appeared on the threshold with a surprised expression, Maria felt all her rehearsed words tumble through her mind. The battle she had to face was upon her. "Hi, Dad," she began, her voice wavering. And as she searched his face for a reaction, everything hung in the balance: connections, hopes, healing, and the possibility that perhaps today they could finally face the truth together. The first move had been made. Would the board be reset, or would they find new paths to victory? Maria felt her father's eyes widen, a mix of surprise and uncertainty dancing across his features. The years of silence and distance hung thick in the air, as tangible as the smell of fresh paint from the hallway. She wanted to bridge those gaps, to find words that would untangle the web of emotions and unspoken truths. "Hi, Maria," he stammered, taking a step back as if preparing for some unseen confrontation. It stung more than she expected, seeing him so hesitant. How could a simple hello feel so heavy? "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It felt like asking for permission to re-enter a world she longed for yet didn't fully recognize anymore. "Of course," he replied, still looking shocked as he led her into the dimly lit living room. Photographs adorned the walls, happy memories that both warmed and ached her heart. There in the pictures, she caught glimpses of herself as a bright-eyed girl, wearing the same smile Danny now wore. As her father settled into the worn-out armchair, Maria took a deep breath, her mind racing. She thought about Danny, how proud and confident he was at breakfast. She was supposed to be that kind of parent for him, a guiding force, but here she was, seeking her own guidance instead. "Dad, I wanted to talk." He shifted uncomfortably, folding and unfolding his hands. "About?" His hesitance unnerved her, but Maria pressed on. "About us. About everything." Silence settled between them, thick like the dust in the corners of the room. Each tick of the clock felt like thunder in her ears. "Look, Maria," he began, an edge of frustration creeping into his tone. "I know I haven't been the best father. No, you haven't. You just disappeared," she interrupted, feeling the heat of bitterness rise in her chest. "I wanted you to be there. To see me, to see Danny." The vulnerability in her voice surprised even herself. The walls she had built around her heart began to crumble, piece by piece. "I didn't know how to be a father after your mother," he trailed off, the hurt spilling like an open wound. "Neither did I," she confessed, tears stinging her eyes. "But I kept trying, alone. And now Danny, he deserves better than both of us. I don't want him to feel like I did." Her father looked at her, really looked. Something shifted in his expression, but doubt still loomed larger than hope. "It's not that simple." "Maybe not," Maria shot back, "but we can try, can't we? For him." The tension was palpable as she awaited his response. She felt so raw, her heart laid open between them. This moment felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, unsure of the depths below but ready to leap if it meant finding a way to heal. "I want to be there for him," he finally said, his voice a mere shadow. "I really do." As quickly as the hope ignited, a shadow of fear danced behind it. What if he couldn't? What if her effort ended in disappointment yet again? "I would like to give you a chance to fix this." His gaze softened slightly, but the weight of uncertainty lingered. It won't be easy. Maria leaned forward, intent. Nothing worthwhile ever is. Their eyes locked in a moment of understanding, a shared promise dangling unspoken between them. In that quiet space, surrounded by shadows of the past, the first glimmer of inquiry sparked within her: could they truly rewrite their story? And just as that thought settled, a muffled cry came from outside, a sound that both startled and excited them. What was that? Maria asked, standing taller, edged with curiosity and caution. They both moved toward the window, peering through the glass, straining to make sense of the commotion unfolding beyond the familiar brick facade. What awaited them outside pushed her heart to race again, this time not out of fear, but what curiosity might unravel. Was this the beginning of a shared journey, or merely the dawn of another struggle? As they peered through the window, the commotion became clearer. A small crowd had gathered on the street, the laughter and shouts of children mingling with a few grown-ups' cheers. A makeshift chessboard had appeared on the sidewalk, and two kids, Danny among them, were standing with intense focus, their tiny faces lit with excitement. "Look, it's a chess tournament!" Maria exclaimed, her heart lifting as her father pressed closer beside her. He hadn't moved this close in years, and the warmth of their shared anticipation startled her with a mix of hope and unease. "Danny's playing?" he asked, a hint of pride creeping into his voice. I guess he is," Maria replied, suddenly conscious of how quickly this small moment could spiral into something much larger. She hadn't realized Danny had taken such an interest in chess. The realization sent a thrill down her spine, imagining him fully engaged, like a miniature version of herself, shedding fears for the game's challenges. "Let us go see," her father suggested, his voice steadying, a sense of urgency in his tone. The words were an unexpected anchor in an otherwise stormy moment. "Are you sure?" Maria hesitated, anxiety rising. The thought of stepping into that bustling crowd felt overwhelming after everything between them, but looking at her father, she saw a new spark, a desire to connect, to engage in this moment for Danny's sake. "Yeah, I want to see him," he said more firmly, as if convincing himself. With the weight of unspoken promises still hanging between them, Maria nodded. They stepped outside together, an unsteady joint venture into the light, where laughter and friendly competition thrummed in the air. As they approached, they could see the board. Danny's hands moved swiftly, making his next calculated move while his opponent waved her hands in excitement after a clever play. Maria's heart swelled with pride. Here was her son, completely immersed, his focus unwavering under the bright sun. It was a picture of pure joy, and she couldn't help but share a smile with her dad. "Look at him go," her father murmured, awe coloring his voice. "He's got skills." "Yeah, he does." Maria felt warmth pooling in her heart. Was this the moment they would find their footing again? They settled onto a nearby bench, watching as Danny's game advanced. Laughter erupted occasionally from the spectators, each move celebrated with cheers and gasps. The tension between Maria and her father quelled as they shared glances, catching each other's nervous excitement, as if rekindling memories of being in the same realm of sweetness and worry. A few games passed, and with each move Danny made, Maria felt the air around them vibrate with a gradual transformation. With every piece captured and repositioned, it felt like they were shifting their own pieces too. "Maybe we could play chess together sometime," her father suddenly suggested, the idea rolling off his tongue as if he had just discovered it himself. "I mean, you, me, and Danny." Maria turned to him, searching for sincerity in his eyes. "You think you could handle it?" "I can learn." There was newfound determination in his tone. "If it means spending time with you both, I absolutely want to." The words hung between them like a promise. A possibility that perhaps they could explore this new territory together as a family. Just then, the game reached its climax. Danny let out a triumphant shout, a wide grin breaking across his face. He had won, and cheers erupted around him. In that moment, Maria felt the tension in her chest unwind just a bit, the laughter of joy and the thrill of victory filling the air. "See? He's doing great," her father said, pride evident in his voice. Maria turned to look at her father, the glimmer of hope now stirring a dream. Could they really build not just lessons of the game, but a genuine bond between them for Danny's sake? All these thoughts swirled like leaves in the wind until a sudden loud clap brought her back. What was that? Her voice trembled, the crowd grew hushed as they looked up, the tension shifting from the excitement of the game to something daunting. A dark figure stood at the edge of the gathering, watching them intently. Who is that? Maria's heart raced. Her father's gaze turned serious, and she could see shadows creeping back into the space they had just begun to illuminate. What had just begun to feel like a potential turning point was now at risk. What did this stranger want, and how would it affect the fragile thread of connection they were trying to weave together? As the figure loomed closer, Maria's heart thumped loudly. She squinted against the sun, trying to make sense of the intrusion in their moment. The crowd held its breath, tension thick in the air like a storm waiting to break. "Stay close," her father whispered, shifting protectively closer to her. His eyes narrowed, searching the stranger's face for signs of trouble. The figure stepped forward, revealing himself to be an older man dressed sharply, with a confident, if slightly unsettling, smile. Maria recognized him. Mr. Thompson, a local businessman known for his community involvement. He often hosted charity fundraisers and was a fixture at town events, but today his presence felt different, almost invasive. "Ah, there's our little champion," Mr. Thompson called out, striding over to where Danny stood, still basking in the glory of his win. "Did I hear someone say winner? Fantastic job, young man." Danny grinned, momentarily distracted from the game, his small chest puffed with pride. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," he chirped. The crowd began to cheer again, energizing Danny more. But Maria could sense the undercurrent of unease still swirling between herself and her father. What did this man want? Mr. Thompson turned towards Maria and her father, his eyes glinting with an exaggerated enthusiasm. "You must be the proud parents. It's wonderful to see families supporting their kids in such fantastic activities." Maria felt her father's tense posture begin to relax slightly as Mr. Thompson shifted the conversation away from the darker edge that had cast a shadow over their moment. "Chess is a brilliant game," the man continued, his voice rich with far too much charm. "It teaches strategy, discipline, and so much more. You must be proud." "We are," Maria's father replied cautiously, still assessing the man's intentions. Danny's enthusiasm is infectious. "Indeed. We must elevate the youth's engagement in the community. Perhaps we could collaborate on an outreach program? Maybe a series of chess workshops to captivate even more kids." Mr. Thompson's smile brightened, though Maria detected a strange sharpness behind it. Danny bounced on his feet, thrilled by the prospect. "Can I help teach? I really love chess." Maria's heart swelled for her son but then swiftly sank with concern. Collaboration could mean exposure, but at what cost? "Let's take it slow," Maria interjected, her voice steadier than her racing heart. "Maybe we focus on this tournament first." She looked at Danny, sensing his eagerness had been piqued. "Let's see how many kids become interested before jumping to conclusions." Mr. Thompson's expression turned momentarily disappointed but then swiftly shifted back to that signature smile. "Absolutely. A smart move, Maria. Keep it focused. Let's see how well the kids do." With that, the man turned back, addressing the crowd again, rallying them with some light-hearted banter about the joys of chess and community. But as she watched his theatrics, Maria felt the familiar knot of unease in her stomach tighten. What was it about Mr. Thompson that rubbed her the wrong way? He seemed too polished, his excitement almost forcing, as if he had something to gain apart from the children's happiness. Was it just suspicion, or was there really something beneath the surface she needed to pay attention to? The tournament resumed, the crowd's cheers rising again, but for Maria, every laugh felt muted. It was Danny's victory, yet in the backdrop, shadows swirled, warning of deeper issues lurking just out of sight. Torn between hope for her family and the prickling sense that they weren't entirely safe, she cast a sidelong glance at her father. "Whatever happens, we'll deal with it together," he whispered, as if reading her thoughts. As the sunlight began to fade, Maria seized that flicker of connection. "Together," she echoed, trying to breathe life into those words, and just like that, as a new game began, a sense of impending turbulence loomed on the horizon. Would this collaboration bring them closer to the connection they desperately sought, or would it drive a wedge deeper into the fragile trust they were trying to build? In that moment of uncertainty, she knew one thing for sure: they would need to buckle up for the ride ahead. But that dark figure watching from afar was really just the beginning. What was waiting at the end of this game could change everything. The sun dipped lower, casting longer shadows across the makeshift chess tournament that had become a backdrop for Maria's evolving story. As cheers erupted for Danny's latest move, Maria's heart held dual realities: the joy of her son's success and the gnawing unease brought on by Mr. Thompson's presence. She had to wrestle with the rising tide of fear and hope, balancing the fragile connection with her father against the unsettling air of opportunism from the man they barely knew. "Mom, look!" Danny shouted, waving to her as he captured another piece. The pride in his voice brightened the world around her, if only for a moment. His innocence was a light that pierced through the worry. Maria tucked her fears away for the time being, ready to cherish this vibrant moment in her son's life. As the games continued, she found herself sharing glances with her father. Each look carried unspoken agreements to support Danny. Perhaps this tournament was the bridge they needed, where past hurts could dissolve into laughter and carefree moments. "Look at him go," her father whispered softly, admiration clear in his voice. "Yeah," Maria replied, unable to suppress the smile spreading across her face. "He really loves this." Their connection, though still tentative, felt like it was solidifying around shared pride, but just as the sun cast its golden glow, shadows loomed. Mr. Thompson's intrusions were more conspicuous now, as he stood at the edge of the crowd, watching with calculating interest, whispering to his accomplices, a handful of local influencers. Maria's instincts buzzed. What were his intentions? She didn't have time to dwell on it, as a voice pulled her back into the moment. "Last game's about to start." A friend of Danny's shouted. The energy shifted, anticipation rippling through the crowd as they congregated around the final match. Maria felt her heart race as she gathered her thoughts. "Dad, can you stay for Danny's last game?" she asked, hopeful. "He would love it." His eyes locked with hers in affirmation of their unfolding connection. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," he nodded, and for the first time in years, her father's face revealed genuine warmth. As they settled onto a bench, Maria glanced toward Mr. Thompson, who was now sidling through the crowd, drawing eyes as much for his confidence as for his polished suit. That instinct of wariness only intensified. It just didn't sit right. Under the dazzling glow of the summer sun, Danny squared off against his opponent, a girl named Mia whose talents mirrored his energy. The crowd hushed as they adjusted their pieces, the anticipation hanging thick in the air. In this moment, Maria realized it wasn't just about winning, it was about witnessing the growth that Danny had unearthed during his time in the spotlight, the chance to be a pillar of support. "Be careful, buddy," she called out as the match commenced. "Play smart." Just then, right beside her, Mr. Thompson approached. "I'd like to formally extend an invitation to both of you," he said, flashing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "To join me in an initiative to promote youth chess clubs in the area. Danny has the potential to be a real ambassador." Maria's heart raced. "What exactly is this initiative, Mr. Thompson?" The words slipped out before she could stop them, an edge of caution lacing her voice that he maintained his polished demeanor, a faint smile touching his lips. "Oh, just community outreach. Building the youth, you know. And Danny could be our star. It's a win-win publicity for me and a bright future for the kids." Maria caught her father's eye, the tension between them palpable. Did he share her concern? Their understanding grew, unspoken resolutions forming silently in the space between them, a mutual vow to protect Danny's joy. "Right, because publicity is so important," Maria replied, masking her doubts with tenacity. We'll sleep on it. Mr. Thompson's smile faltered, but he nodded. Of course. I'll be in touch. Then he vanished back into the crowd, like a shadow retreated into darkness, leaving an uneasy silence behind him. Mom, is everything okay? Danny's voice broke through the tension. Yes, sweetie. Just adult stuff, she said, forcing a smile to reassure him. The final game unfolded with riveting intensity. Danny's moves flowed like art, encapsulated in focus. You're so great at this. She cheered, excitement bubbling in her chest. Thanks, Mom. Danny replied, sparking a radiant smile that swept through the space. Each time she looked at him, all her fears melted into pure love. This was what mattered. As the last piece fell, a chorus of cheers erupted. Checkmate. The triumph echoed, wrapping around Maria like a warm embrace. Danny jumped up, beaming with pure joy. His spirit lit up the evening, a smile that melted the remnants of tension still lingering in the air. In that moment of exhilaration, Maria squeezed her father's arm. Together. Together she felt the strength of that word settle around them. There, she saw the glimmer of a new possibility. If they could face their fears as a family together, they could still create a vibrant future for Danny. The crowd erupted in celebration, all doubts melting under the warmth of connection and hope. Maria turned to her father, who wore a proud smile, understanding starting to dawn between them. This was only the beginning. As the sun dipped below the horizon, shadows softened. A transformation was underway, and for the first time, Maria felt hope swell in her chest. They walked away from the tournament, spirits high and conversations buzzing around the joy of victory. Hand in hand with Danny, she felt her father stride closer, their connection gaining strength, each of them drafting a new narrative, one where love, understanding, and the armors of the past would give way to healing. Everything was shifting, new pieces were being placed on the board, and as they stepped forward, it was clear, together, they could conquer whatever lay ahead. Don't wait any longer. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories you'll love. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let the world know how you felt about this ending. Comment your reactions and feelings because we want to hear how this inspired you, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second.